Okay. So I guess we're just going to get started, regardless of intros.
That's fine.
Something I've been thinking about is... Well, okay, there's two things that I was thinking about. One thing earlier and another thing just now. What is something that you... Like, what's a question that you have for either other people within your field or other people within your job title?
Mm-hmm.
Like, what's a question? Like, is there anything? I mean.
Yeah, I have a question.
Yeah.
So you go into either a new place or you move into a new team in the same place. So you say sprout, you go into a new tribe.
Right.
Or even a new squad, because things are different per squad even, right?
Mm-hmm.
How much of the context of how they already do things do you take into account before sort of enacting a vision for how you're going to do things? Right? Because there has to be a balance, and maybe it depends on how things are going.
Right.
So, and maybe it depends on the role and what people are ready for, but that would be an interesting conversation with someone. So, like the full on, like one side of it is going to be, and like there's two like extremes that probably won't work. One extreme is, this is the way I've done things all the time. This is the way that worked. I've seen it work. So I'm going to go in and you're all going to do it. You know, this we're going to put these processes in place and we're going to follow them, and it's going to be like, I used waterfall over here and it worked, and so I'm going to do it here, and you're running lean and you're putting stuff in, you're just pulling stuff off the board when you have time.
Right.
And that's going to break everything. The other extreme is, I'm not going to do anything. I'm just going to fit right in and do whatever you tell me to do, even if things are falling apart. So, like, how do you approach going into a place, look at what's there, and fit, like, the core of how you know how to do things into the core of how things are being done? I can ask you that. That's my question for you. I was going to ask questions. There's my question. And like, what would your approach be to that?
Okay. If I were to answer this, we can kind of go through the steps or the thought process behind, like, joining the team, which would, I mean, for me, a lot of what I do is try to make things work. So I'm more reactive than proactive. And so I think depending on my understanding of, like, the group and the team and how long that I've been there, I think if anything I would start off just by getting situated. Learning kind of what they do, how they do it, and see, because the first thing that I would want to find out is whether or not what they're doing is working for what they're trying to do, and or what, maybe try to get a sense of like what their intentions are, or what do they see as their group being successful, like what are the, how do they see themselves when they say that like they've done a good job or something like that. That would be kind of what I would want to go for, and see how much that aligns with what I see as the outsider. And I think that's kind of where I would start, and then that would pretty much dictate like where I then go with that information.
It's kind of like the question you asked at in a different context. But like, what does success look like, right?
Yeah, and I mean that can be asked anywhere.
Yes, I can. Yeah.
Because I mean, what you're doing and what you think success is for you might not be the same thing. And asking yourself that question and thinking about whether or not, I mean, that's kind of more, like motivational speakery type things.
Yeah,
like,
sure.
What do you want? And how do you like want to get there?
Yeah.
And like, where are you now, to then see like, how can you go from where you are to where you want to be, and or in your current role, do you think that you're being successful, and what would that, and if not, what would success look like for you?
Yeah. And how do you fill the gap?
Yeah, and then like once you know, I think something that's tough would be, I mean, just that initial step of like, what does success look like? Because I mean, that's not always easy to answer. I mean, there are some like easy answers, but it's not always easy to answer that. Because there's, if you want to be vague about it, then like you're gonna get vague results.
Sure. Happy customers.
Yeah, if a good paycheck. A low amount of defects, like whatever your thing looks like. If you
no bugs
aren't specific, you can't get specific results. And so, digging down into like what does that success look like for our team, and I think that's something that we should probably be asking ourselves on our team right now, is like, because we recently had like our health check, and it was lower than other health checks.
Really?
Yeah. And I mean, part of that is like when we're doing it is kind of like mid quarter, so things are kind of up and down, and so like the results may vary, but yeah, so like seeing that it was lower than the previous one, I think once we see it, trending down, we need to then go back and like start over and say, what does, because we have different categories of like code base and autonomy and all of those other things to like break down how we see our squad, and then be able to say like, what does success look like in this, or a thumbs up, like, because we rate things thumbs up, meh, and thumbs down. So it's like for autonomy or satisfaction or like those things, it's like, what does a thumbs up, what does everybody saying that this is thumbs up look like? To know like, what is the success of that. Like, how do we, once we know what that is, then we can see how far off we are from
I like that a lot because I'm visualizing that different chapters or people in different roles will have different things to bring to what success looks like.
Yeah.
Right. So.
Yeah, that's definitely an exercise that we need to do, is talk about that. I mean, most of the conversation during that health check was, about how we're feeling now compared to when that data was gathered.
Oh, that's fair.
So we're feeling better now, but next health check, will that still be the case?
Right.
And so doing that exercise now and saying, what does successful autonomy look like for our squad?
Mm-hmm.
And if we can, agree on what that looks like, then we can see where are we now then.
Yeah.
And then come up with steps to then work our way towards a higher rating.
Yes.
But yeah, so that's my answer to that.
All right. Are there like specific tools or methods that you think you can carry into any context and have work? Or is it like you have this whole tool bag of things that will work and then you tweak them depending on context? Or do you take like, of these 25 things skills or whatever that is, that I have in my bag, depending on context, I may take out 7 of them from here. Or is it just like a solid technique for everything is a solid technique for everything?
I guess it's dependent on how creative you can get with those tools that you have. Because, it depends on what you're trying to use the tool for. And then with that tool coming up with... if you're trying to, fit a tool into the problem, that's not really going to work as well as finding the right tool to use
for said problem.
Right. Which also goes back to our talk on using automation versus finding out what the problem is and figuring out what tool to best use.
Right. Yeah.
Or a hammer seeing all problems
as a nail. Yeah, exactly.
So I would say it's the same kind of thing. It's like you don't want to just use any tool to solve any problem. You want to use the right one.
The right one.
And if you don't have the right one, I think getting to the point where you know that you don't have that tool, I think would be equally critical, because then once you know that you don't have that, then you can start to look for what that tool might look like.
Yeah. I think, and that's to me, that's a marker of higher level understanding.
Right.
And skill is to understand how to attack a problem, and be able to identify those things those skills that you don't yet have.
Right.
So you can look at a problem and say, I need to learn this in order to solve this problem. Then you're at another level. You might not have that skill yet, but if you can identify that that's the skill you need to solve this problem, and have the motivation to go find it and then use it, that is, I think that's brilliant.
Yeah, the hardest part of that is getting to the point where you can know that you don't have it.
Yeah, yeah.
Because the easy part is everything after that.
Right. Yes.
Because it's a near impossible task to try to figure out what you don't have if you don't know that you don't have it.
Mm-hmm.
So being able to get into whatever circumstance that connects, the right synapses and whatnot that can get you into that moment of like, oh yeah, I don't know what this is.
Yeah.
Yeah, once you get there, like everything else is easy. You just have to follow the
steps to get there. Yeah.
Right.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Nice.
A little philosophically.
I like those.
I'm not saying it's bad. I'm just saying that it's definitely a lot of that. I don't think I asked you this. I think I asked Andy this. What would your dream job be?
My dream job?
Yeah. So there were two ways that I was asking this. Was like, what is your dream job, and what would your dream job be if you didn't need to like learn anything? Like if you had that job, like you would already know that stuff.
Yeah. Like
what would your dream job be in the first instance where it's just what is your dream job? And then the second one is what job would you like to have if you didn't need to worry about like learning the skills?
Oh.
So like you just automatically have the skills.
Just automatically have the skills.
Sure.
And can do whatever I want.
Sure.
Oh my god. That's
too big.
That's wide open.
So
I'm thinking I would not want to be a physics tutor.
Okay.
Or an algebra tutor.
Even though you would have those abilities?
Yeah, it's just dealing with though it's probably different if it's not my kids.
Well, we'll start with your dream job.
Okay, but here's the thing. Job? Like, one of the most interesting parts of my job, I don't know if this is like part of the dream job answer, is like I like to learn stuff.
Right.
So if I already had the skill and I could just do stuff, that would be...
Well, that's just to be in the job.
Just to be in the job?
You can learn more after you're in the job.
All right.
I'm not saying you know everything. I'm just saying you have the skills to be in that position.
Mm-hmm. I don't know. It would probably have something to do with math or engineering.
For a
like,
job you would like to have.
Yes.
But then what is your dream job? Like in your current trajectory. Well, I don't want to limit you to where you currently are, but
like if I could pick anything at all, like
sure.
I don't know. I would like 1A. I mean, if I could play for Chelsea, and start on that soccer team, that would be pretty sweet. But that's not the current trajectory. I mean, that would be kind of fun just to play soccer all the time.
Mm-hmm.
But real life, I don't know. I'm actually believe it or not, I don't know if this qualifies for a dream job.
It's more just to get conversation.
But if I was, I know. I'm getting around to it somehow. I'm stalling because I don't know what it is. I mean, I would like to be able to do the work I'm doing right now.
Mm-hmm.
Like I'm very happy with the work that I'm doing.
Right.
Here. Because I get to solve problems. I get to learn things.
Mm-hmm.
And I like the culture here. I said if there were anything to be changed, I don't know. I mean, if I could tie this into outside life, I'd love to be in a place where I can spend half my time just like walking and hiking and being outdoors.
Sure.
And that I kind of miss.
Like some sort of, like a...
But if I could do this kind of thing...
Like a professionally walk around?
No. But if I could do this kind of thing in another place, so that I had that available to me whenever I wanted.
Yeah.
And maybe that's just like this kind of job, like an engineering consulting job, that I could work for, 3 months or 6 months, or just like have the summer off.
Right.
I could do like a teacher's schedule. That would be the perfect schedule, like a teacher schedule. But consult and do engineering, and then I could have the summer to go off and be somewhere. Or follow a band around all summer.
Sure.
That would be great.
I think that was something that was definitely something interesting with like where I was earlier in my career, since I was a contractor, where I was like the most you could work is like, the most you could work on like a standard contract was 9 months, and then you had to basically take a 3-month break. There were like extensions that they could do to like keep you on for like up to a year.
Yeah.
And then some other places they could like have you until like your project is done, and then you would have to take time off or something like that. But there was definitely an aspect of that was kind of nice, is like work 9 months, 3 months off, even though technically you didn't really have a choice of it. But
yeah.
It was still that kind of like you're working on this thing, you get to the end, and then you take a break. Like,
yep.
I mean, obviously it depends on like how much money you were able to save up.
Well, that's the thing. If we're not taking that into the equation, then yeah, for sure.
Yeah. So like if you didn't have to, so I have an answer, but if you didn't have to worry about pay,
yeah,
and you are you, what job would you like to do?
I mean, that would be perfect. If I didn't have to worry about pay and I didn't have to worry about healthcare, then yeah, I would build whatever you need. I'd consult with companies, either go in and build out what they needed for automation or testing in general or strategy. Just like consult on strategy and then dig in and build stuff and give it away and leave and just hop around and do that. And as long as I had time off,
right?
That would be brilliant. And like if you asked me 5 years ago, like I would have taken anything to like have just to take James Whittaker's place, like way up high level in Google or Microsoft. He had both jobs.
Yeah.
Like he just owned testing and quality for those organizations.
Right.
So like when I was at SAP, the dream job would have been to be like chief quality officer for that humongous organization.
Yeah.
That would have been like the pinnacle of all of it. And that's what I I mean, that was never going to happen because it just wasn't. But I put all of my focus into doing that, playing what I needed to play, and move up the ladder there.
Yeah.
And that's what I thought I wanted. But the farther I got up, the farther removed I was from the engineering piece. And I just got stressed out and kind of bored.
Missed the challenges that came with
It's just the wrong problems to solve. I think it comes down to like, what problems are you solving every day?
Right.
And if the problems that you're solving relate to how are you going to put together a presentation to put whatever project you're working on into the best light for the executives to know what's going on, then versus how do we take this application to an enterprise level from wherever it is across the board, and how does quality and testing fit into that at all of the different levels? Like, that's a different problem to solve.
Right.
And then there's like just fun, like how do you take your little piece of the thing and build what you need to do to make that piece successful. So yeah, I don't know. I'm becoming more and more happy with like those analytical problems to solve, and the free space outside of those problems. So
so like my answer to that is like, for my dream job, I would love to be in a position where I'm able to, I think Andy and I were saying that it would be like some sort of like like creative director role or some sort of that type of role, where I'm able to, like, I have people that I can give them a thing and then they can just make it, so that I can see so I can just see the things that I want to see. But in terms of like, if I could do a job where I didn't really need to worry about the like money, I would definitely go back into gaming. Go back into games testing. Just because that's something that's a large part of my well, maybe not a large part, but like it's something that I enjoy doing, and so like being able to be a part of that process and be a part of like the quality of the game is like something that I enjoyed. So but it doesn't pay well, so I can't go back.
So you just can't go back.
I mean, I enjoy what I do here, but in terms of like something that like speaks to me, it's not really social media.
Right.
So like that's why I would go back to like the games, but it pays really low.
That's interesting. Is that because I don't why? Is it just because there's so many people they have to put on it, or is it do they give? More highly paid?
I just like games.
No.
Why it pays low? Because you're in games.
Just because you're in games?
And I would
Don't they make like boatloads of money?
The company that produces them, sure. Not everybody else under them, because you're in games. Like, that's fun. So it's like, why do we need to pay?
So, well, I guess it's all market. If it can bear it, if people are going to go into it and not get paid.
There's a whole thing about that. Like, there was a thing with like voice actors wanting residuals on video games. Then there was a thing, I think developers also then wanted residual on it.
Oh,
then,
really?
Then there's been talks about like developers in games like trying to unionize, and companies don't like that idea. I mean, there was talk about like QA doing something similar. Because I mean, of my experience, the places I've worked, not all of them had a not all of them trying to figure out the way to say this.
You can always strike it from the record.
No, I wouldn't remove it because it's true. Not all of games companies care deeply for all the people that work for them, especially people in a quality role.
Okay.
So it's kind of a long way of just saying that they're not really cared about. So
interesting.
So, and due to I assume their assumptions on like the skills required to do certain roles is not high, so they don't need to pay as much. And QA, well, at least the manual side of QA in those roles is not a lot in terms of like the amount of skill required to be in there.
Right.
So, and there's probably an assumption that like, oh, they're playing games.
They get to play games all day long for free, and get paid for it.
Yeah. And because there's a bunch of people wanting to be in that position because they either want to get into the games industry, and so they feel like, well, that's like something easy to get into. So for every, I don't remember when it was said to me, but it's like the idea of like, you know, for every one person that gets hired, there's, you know, tens to hundreds of people that would willingly take their place for that amount of money.
Okay.
So there's a lot of that
I'm sure
goes on.
Yeah.
But in terms of like the idea that, you know, you get to be a part of the quality of something that'll be enjoyed by millions or some other number of people. Like that's nice. And because I also play games, so that's why I like.
Yeah.
That's why I would want to be there.
Nice. I like that answer.
Yeah, I mean, it's always nice to work within something that you also enjoy.
Yes, that is beautiful.
Yeah.
I wonder how that would relate to like an industry, like the music industry.
For
how it would relate
quality?
Engineering and quality into.
There's all sorts of engineering related musical roles. Or if you don't see it, make it.
That's also true.
Find out what isn't there and do it.
Fill the hole.
All right. Find a need. Fill a need. What is it?
There's a hole in my bucket, dear Liza. Dear Liza. And fill it, dear head. Okay, no.
Isn't it find a need, fill it?
Find a need, fill it. Sure.
That doesn't.
Probably.
That kind of sounds right, but whatever. Did we talk about Working from home and working in the office?
No.
Okay. I wrote it down, but I don't remember if I've actually talked about it yet.
About that.
I mean, I didn't write it down for us having talked about it.
It's just like something.
But it was just a thing that I had written that, like, just the idea of working remote. Well, I would say that there's a slight difference, I think. I would say that there's like 3 different things you could do in terms of like where you're working. There's like in office, at home, and then remote. Because normally when I think of
like in office
like
where you're by yourself.
Well, there's like the idea of like working from home.
Yeah.
Or working from the office.
Yep.
Right. But then when I think of the word or the phrase, you know, I'm working remote. Yes, literally, when you're working from home, you are remote.
Yes.
But when I think about it, it's more of like I'm outside of a normal area. Like I'm in the office, or I'm at home, or I'm somewhere else. That would
working
be like
from the Starbucks,
working from
the Seattle office.
Yeah, somewhere not normal.
Right.
And I guess to be at home or at work would be normal. Yes, working from home,
Yeah.
But in terms of like, I mean, we've talked about it before. I think maybe, I don't remember. But yeah, I'm definitely not a fan of working from home.
I'm not either. I'll do it, and I like to have the flexibility if I have something going on or if I don't feel well, and I'm glad that people also take advantage of that when they don't feel well.
Yeah.
But or if I have to leave my house at 5 or 4:30 or something, if there's a reason for it, I'll take advantage of it.
Yeah.
I much prefer being in the office. It's a different energy. I mean, it's quieter at home, but I don't tend to get more done at home because it's quiet.
Right.
So that's not a thing. I think and part of it, I guess, is the monitor thing. We already talked about that. But I don't like to work on just my laptop all day long. Like for stretches, definitely just go away and do work on it. But like for the entire day, I'd rather have my desk set up.
Yeah.
And if I had, that may be a little bit different if I had everything set up as an office at home. But we have an office at home, but I don't usually use it. I end up just sitting on the couch. And I don't know why, but I do. So,
I mean,
yeah.
For me, it's definitely a intentional decision. Like, I come to work so that I can be in that mode.
Yeah. Yeah.
And when I'm at home, I'm at home.
Yes.
So
you want to be able to separate the two so you can turn it off. Yeah.
I mean, that's definitely something that probably a lot of people deal with, is like just carrying around your phone. Everybody's connected. So you're always available for work. I mean, it depends on where you're working, but like just having that thing, it's like always in the back of your mind, thinking about like, especially like here we have a much more, open culture, so like the means of communication that we use are also kind of a social communication as well.
Right, yeah.
So there's that aspect of like, you may not be at work, but if you're engaging with the thing that you also use for work, you're still there.
Yeah.
You're not away from work.
Mm-hmm.
Which, I mean, I'm not saying that that's a bad thing, but it's a thing.
Yeah.
But
it is a thing.
I mean, for me, it's not that big of a deal. But I also do like being able to be at work and think about work things and be at home and not think about work things. So that's partly why, like, I don't remember how long ago. I guess it's been a couple of months, if not maybe longer. But I don't sleep with my phone in my room.
Oh, I don't either.
I leave that outside.
That is a house rule. We have a place
For phones.
dedicated for phones. It has all the chargers plugged in,
That's good.
and that's where it goes at night.
I've liked it.
Yeah, and we've gotten all of the excuses.
Oh, yeah.
Well, I just want to listen to music before I go to bed. Okay, well, we'll get you an iPod. And I just want to put no other apps on it.
Yeah.
Or we'll get you something else. You can do that. Well, I need it for an alarm. Well, we'll get you an old school alarm clock.
That's what we have.
Or a clock radio.
I was trying to look for like one of the like older ones that has like the numbers that like
That flip.
I was trying to look
like
for
Groundhog Day.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I just got one of the like I mean, I don't think it's rectangular, but it's kind of rectangular. It just has the big
big
red
numbers.
lettering.
Yep.
Or numbering. Lettering?
Numbers. They're numbers. More numbers than letters.
Right, but writing them out, I don't know. It doesn't matter.
Display.
Yes.
It's a red display.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. So it's definitely been nice to not have to think about. I mean, I did use my phone to listen to music while I would go to sleep. So that was a little weird. I mean, I wasn't attached to it, but like it was something that I would, rely on. Or not, I think rely on might be too strong. I used it.
Yeah.
So not having that, and then I don't really think about it anymore. I mean, well, no, I guess that's not true. I do think about it.
Do you?
But that's just because I like that sort of ambiance.
Mm-hmm.
I just like having something that I can just focus on.
That's what I cannot fall asleep to music.
Yeah.
Or I have a hard time because I can't passively listen to music.
Right.
If I'm actively doing something else that can focus me on that thing. But if nothing else is happening, I'll listen and listen deeply to all the things that are going on. Unless I'm like really tired and I'll just crash, but then I'll wake up. There was one thing I did get into the habit. I tried to do it for a little while, and I would listen to, and it lasted like a few days, because I had this CD of Beethoven sonatas, and I would listen to like the first one, and I would be awake listening to it, and then eventually I would fall asleep, until like there was one of them there was some soft movements,
right,
that were slower and softer, but then there was this real fast, loud thing, and it would wake me up every night. I'm like, oh, this is great, I want to listen to this. I'd fall asleep, and then the thing would wake me up. I'm like, oh, I love this part.
That's definitely something I
and
worried about a few times when like just listening to like there's a lot of like playlists of stuff of like, oh, relaxing music or whatever. And so always in the back of my mind whenever I like start listening to those is like, what if this person was like the one person that decided to make a musical playlist that's like 5 or 6 like really relaxing musics, and then a couple of just like really loud ones. Just like, yeah.
Oh, that would be cruel. But it would be your fault for not validating the playlist.
That's true. It is my fault. I mean, I'm not willing to listen to the whole thing before to vet the
that's true.
The playlists before just choosing going with it. All right, well, I guess we'll end it there.
Perfect.
And, have another one.
I'll have more energy next time.
It's all about the conversation.
Yes, indeed.